Alright, Stranger Things fans, buckle up, because today's video is not your regular theory breakdown. This one is big. We're diving into the wildest fan theories, hidden clues, and yes, some major leaks coming straight from early screenings. And listen, if you don't want to get spoiled, this is your final warning, because the things we're about to talk about could completely change how you see Season 5. Alright, you ready? Let's tear open the portal and jump straight in. So let's first talk about what's actually going to happen in Stranger Things Season 5. Advanced screenings have already taken place in the UK, where a limited audience got to watch the entire first episode and even the first 8 minutes of episode 2. But of course, Netflix wasn't taking any chances. They made everyone lock their phones in sealed bags so absolutely no footage could leak out. But come on, people are people. Even with all that security, some plot details still slipped through. Season 5's premiere episode is titled The Crawl, and this episode works as the foundation for the final battle. It shows our heroes preparing piece by piece to face Vecna. But the moment their mission actually kicks off, everything immediately starts going in the wrong direction. Now here's the most surprising part. Holly Wheeler, the character who's basically been in the background for years, suddenly becomes the centerpiece of the entire season. Matt Duffer has already confirmed that Holly's role is going to be extremely important. He said that to recapture that classic Season 1 vibe, they needed younger characters at the center of the story again because the original cast has grown up a lot. So that old school innocence, that early Stranger Things charm, it's coming back through Holly and her classmates. Now come on friends, let's dive into the detailed plot leak of Episode 1. Sadly, there are no visuals from the screening, but I've broken everything down for you as clearly as possible. The episode opens at the Wheeler house, where the Byers family is temporarily staying. Jonathan and Will are set up in the basement, which, honestly, feels a little awkward since the Wheeler family is already huge. And remember that trailer moment where Jonathan opens a door and all the kids head inside? Yeah, that's this basement. And here's a very cool detail. Robin and Steve are now working at WSQK, the local radio station. Robin actually kicks off the season with a broadcast recap of everything that's happened since 1986. That's how the entire story so far is reintroduced to the audience. Meanwhile at school, Dustin becomes the target of a bully because he still proudly wears his Hellfire Club t-shirt. Andy and his jock buddies harass him, but then Lucas finally steps in and shuts it down. He reminds Andy that back in Season 4, his sister Erica kicked Andy straight in the balls, a perfect Lucas moment. On the other side of the story, the military is still hunting for Eleven. But what they've captured isn't actually her, it's a decoy, a fake Eleven. The real Eleven is off training herself for the crawl missions. Her goal? Complete the entire simulation in under 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Hopper, however, doesn't want her going on any mission until Vecna's exact location is confirmed. And there's an emotional moment between Joyce and Hopper, where Joyce uses Will as an example while talking about parenting, a small but powerful scene that really hits home. Then comes the planning meeting, and this is where things get serious. Mike actually takes the lead here. Mike and Lucas are officially paired to guide the mission. But right in the middle of the meeting, Will suddenly senses Vecna. He spirals into the same kind of panic attack we've seen him struggle with for years, only this time it's worse. And here's the big reveal, friends. Will's connection to the Upside Down is growing stronger every single day. Back at school, Dustin tries to get a little revenge by putting a snake in Andy's locker. Classic Dustin energy. But Andy and his friends catch him later near Eddie's grave, and they beat him up brutally. It's a genuinely heartbreaking moment, and because of it, Dustin can't take part in the crawl mission. This one really hurts. We then get a rare quiet moment, Eleven and Mike sitting together on the rooftop. Mike reassures her that as long as she defeats her enemy, her future is bright. He brings up their old Dungeons and Dragons adventures, saying happy endings do exist. And then he drops a mysterious hint about 3 waterfalls, which immediately raises questions. Meanwhile, Lucas and Will visit Max in the hospital. Lucas gently plays Running Up That Hill, the iconic Season 4 song that saved her life. And in a bittersweet moment, Will accidentally spots Robin and Vicky kissing through a crack in the door. He's so shocked and so overwhelmed that the soda can in his hand literally explodes. He runs off, and it becomes one of the most emotional moments for Will, because he's still trying to come to terms with his own feelings. Finally, the crawl mission begins. Hopper infiltrates a military truck, sneaks into the tunnels, and enters the Upside Down. Meanwhile, Mike and Lucas guide him over the radio. But things take a dark turn when Will suddenly receives terrifying visions, seeing everything through the eyes of a Demodog. Now let's talk about Holly Wheeler, because this is where the story takes a completely unexpected turn. Holly begins showing the same symptoms Will used to have, that eerie supernatural sensitivity. At school, she's sitting on the merry-go-round, staring up at the sky, visibly uncomfortable. Her friend is spinning her at a normal speed, nothing unusual. But then Derek Turnbow shows up. He's a massive bully, and he starts spinning Holly way too fast while saying something nasty to her. And that's the moment Holly starts seeing strange, shadowy figures. Which means either her so-called imaginary friend is real, or she's somehow connected to the Upside Down. Teachers notice her odd behavior and immediately contact Karen and Ted Wheeler. Later at home, Ted and Karen get into a heated argument about Holly's imaginary friend, and that's when Karen says something brutal. She tells Ted he doesn't even know Holly's actual age. Holly overhears everything. She breaks down crying and runs to her room, and right after she closes the door, the lights begin to flicker. Classic Stranger Things warning sign. And then we hit the climax of episode 1. A Demogorgon crashes through the ceiling, lunging straight toward Holly. And before we can even process what's happening, the episode cuts to black. Titles roll. After the end of episode 1, episode 2 opens with a scene we've already glimpsed in the teasers. Karen and Holly are hiding inside a bathtub, desperately trying to escape from the Demogorgon. The creature violently attacks both Karen and Ted, but just in time, Nancy and Eleven burst onto the scene and save Holly. This moment makes one thing crystal clear. In Season 5, the Demogorgons are now directly hunting the Wheeler family, so just imagine how powerful Vecna's forces have become. And here's something interesting I noticed. The bathtub scene is actually symbolic. Bathtubs have a deep history in Stranger Things. In Season 1, Eleven used a kiddie pool as a sensory deprivation tank. In the very first teaser ever released, we saw Eleven inside a tub, drowning in darkness. Even when the series begins, she's submerged in a massive tank. So this bathtub moment? It's a deliberate callback, a full circle symbol. Now, we've talked about episode 1 and a small portion of episode 2. But episode 3, that's where things get really exciting. Episode 3 is titled The Turnbow Trap, and it's directed by Frank Darabont, the visionary behind masterpieces like The Shawshank Redemption. That alone tells you the episode is going to be special. Hawkins is in terrible condition right now. After the destruction caused by the Upside Down, the town needs massive redevelopment, and the Turnbow family is heavily involved in land development. There's even a popular theory that Tina Turnbow belongs to this very family. Here's what I personally believe. Stranger Things never gives us anything straight. The Turnbow Trap isn't just a name, it's a plan, a rescue mission. Our heroes are setting up a trap to protect the Turnbow family. Vecna might be targeting either Derek or Tina, just like he targeted Holly. So Erica enters the Turnbow mansion to save her best friend Tina and the entire Turnbow family. And if you're wondering how Erica gets inside, she's invited over for dinner. Classic infiltration. According to the plan, Erica injects the Turnbow family with a sedative to keep them unconscious for a while, and yes, we've already seen Erica holding that injection in the teasers. Once the family is out cold, our heroes sneak into the mansion to set up their trap, but things don't go smoothly. A Demogorgon eventually attacks the mansion, and we've already seen Mike Wheeler fighting a Demogorgon inside that very house. Now let's come to the theory that will shock you the most. In a recent interview, Noah and Millie were asked who is the most misunderstood villain in Stranger Things. Millie kept control over herself, but Noah dropped a huge spoiler. He said, "The low-key Vec." Millie then said, "Bro, we just gave a huge spoiler. Look, bro, if we talk only about the keyword low-key, I feel that Vecna can be defeated. Maybe Vecna can be redeemed or his tragic side will be shown." This fan theory has been going around a lot, especially since the official show The First Shadow came out. In it, we were shown that young Henry Creel was influenced by the Mind Flayer even before moving to Hawkins. The theory is that the real villain is the Mind Flayer who has been manipulating Henry Creel all these years. In Season 5, maybe the Mind Flayer will betray Vecna, and only then Henry will realize that he is actually the victim. There were hints of the Mind Flayer since Season 1 when Will was kidnapped. So what Noah accidentally said in the interview could actually be a very big spoiler. Or maybe Noah was just joking about Vecna. Anyway, what do you think about this theory? Go down and tell me in the comment box. We start with the focus on Eleven herself, right at the beginning of the season, wearing that classic look we've seen in most of the promotional material. She's running, laser-focused, fully locked in on her training. The scene takes place in a forest, broad daylight, definitely not the Upside Down. This is the real world, and she's gearing up. You can see the headband tucked into her hair, and the whole sequence feels like an evolution for war, a preparation for something massive, because Eleven knows something gigantic is coming. Then we see her leaping between the trees. She lands, and that first jump isn't anything too supernatural. A normal person could probably pull it off, but the point is clear. Her power is growing, she's sharpening herself, and she isn't slowing down. She's got that urgency, like she's racing against time. Next, we get the full version of a scene we've only seen bits and pieces of in the teasers. She arrives at the junkyard, sprinting through a narrow passage like she's about to climb up onto something. She starts doing these zigzag jumps over the cars, quick, agile, intense, and then we see a small ladder set up in front of her. Why is that ladder there? You probably already have an idea if you've been following the promos, but let's keep going. This scene isn't just about agility or parkour-style jumps. It's also about combat. You see Eleven take cover behind one of the cars, hiding for a moment, but she extends her hand toward a target, a simulated enemy. It's this scarecrow-looking figure with a pumpkin head. And what does she do? She uses her power to explode the pumpkin head, straight up blows it apart. A perfect symbol of taking out an enemy. And that's Dark. Stranger Things started out as a mysterious, slightly spooky kids' adventure, and now Season 5 is promising something heavier, maybe even deserving a higher rating. And then you watch this moment. Eleven literally training to blow people's heads off. It makes you wonder, what happens when she faces actual soldiers? Are they hinting she'll do something like the boys? Probably not. I don't think we'll get that level of graphic brutality. But maybe she'll unleash it on creatures from the Upside Down. Imagine her exploding a Demogorgon's head with nothing but her power. That alone tells us we're heading into some seriously wild action this season. But continuing the scene, after blasting the pumpkin, Eleven steps out from behind cover, moves forward toward that ladder, and starts climbing up. And you probably thought she was about to launch herself off the top, right? Nope. Instead, she uses the ladder as an obstacle. She slides down it like it's part of a military course, landing smoothly on one of the cars below. Then we get even more obstacles. She rolls under a stretch of sinister barbed wire, slipping through with pure speed and precision. So in just a few moments, we've seen her sprinting through the forest, striking a target with her powers, and navigating physical barriers she needs to overcome, all part of her evolution. And while she keeps running even faster now, she destroys another target, another pumpkin head, showing just how far her abilities have come. Then we reach the moment fans were waiting for, the one teased in earlier footage, the flight moment, or, more accurately, the mega jump. Eleven charges forward, focuses, and launches herself off the ground like she's straight up Superman. The shot is wild. She goes incredibly high, and seeing it in one continuous take makes the height feel even more intense. We're talking nearly the height of 2 buses stacked together. It's way higher than what the training even requires, which means she's evolving past the goal. And for anyone who's still confused, is Eleven flying now? I always answers this. No, she's not technically flying. She can, based on her power level, but what she does here are mega jumps. She stays in the air longer, glides longer, and falls slower, but it's still technically a jump. And this is the same jump we see in the season trailer when she's actually using the move in the Upside Down, leaping over Dr. K's base, the military facility where they're conducting research, during that massive attack sequence. And this is exactly why I'm breaking down Eleven's training so closely. Every single part of this sequence is intentional. Everything she practices here is something we'll see her use for real. That early forest sprint, it connects directly to that shot in the July teaser, where Dr. K's mercenaries, the elite special ops soldiers she sends after 11, are running at full speed, jumping just like 11 does, hunting her through what looks like a similar forest. That group is called the Wolf Pack, Dr. K's secret and illegal strike team created specifically to track down 11. So yes, she's going to rely on this exact training. The part where she dodges obstacles, jumping over cars, going under barbed wire probably has a lot to do with the things she'll face in the Upside Down while she's trapped there, because we had info about her being trapped there. Exploding the pumpkin heads definitely has a lot to do with the creatures and the soldiers themselves, and so on. But continuing, the scene ends with 11 stopping, tired, catching her breath, and the cinematography of this scene is sensational. Look at this creepy framing, and the shot goes to Hopper's hand as he stops a stopwatch. And Joyce says, it's a new record. So it's like a training course that the two of them designed for 11 to train and evolve her powers for what she's going to face. The two of them being that little couple that will definitely become official by the end of this season once and for all, and being the structure, the foundation for 11, the father and mother figures. And remember when I analyzed the poster, I talked about that central pillar? At the bottom, there's Hopper and Joyce as the pillar for 11, who take care of her and help her evolve her powers. She as the symbolism of good, and above her, all the symbolism related to this season's story. In the middle, there's Will, who is the connection between good and evil. At the same time, he wants to serve good, evil controls him. And at the top, Vecna, the symbolism of evil itself. In the next part of the scene, 11 looks at them with a face like, ah, okay, when what we saw was much less than that, means there was a lot more training, more time, more things, because what we saw was way shorter. And as I said, she walks away from them and says, reset, meaning restart it, start over. She's not satisfied, she wants to beat the record again. It's like she's doing timed runs, always training, evolving to do all of this faster. Besides the two of them motivating and preparing her, she is motivating herself and wants to keep going. You can see this character's dedication. And you know, when the person herself is dedicated, she evolves even more. So how is 11 Prime going to be? The main thing about this scene, this video, gets me hyped to imagine what 11 at her absolute peak will be like, you know? If she's this dedicated, what will she be like in the final episode when she has the final battle against Vecna? I'll even remind you of something I said in a recent video. Imagine the scene of 11 in the center of Hawkins with blood coming out of every part of her face, nose, ears, eyes, the most sinister thing ever, closing all the portals with her power at the same time while a creepy song plays in the background. I'm already visualizing it. Comment what you think about this scene.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I breathe.